You're driving home after a long day. The road is quiet, the sun is setting, and for a moment everything feels peaceful. But then, it happens. One tiny light flickers on your dashboard, then another, and suddenly your calm turns into worry. Check engine, abs, traction control. You grip the wheel tighter, your heart starts to race, and a single thought crosses your mind. How much is this going to cost me? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Every day, thousands of drivers panic the moment they see a warning light. They rush to the repair shop, convinced their car is falling apart. And I can't blame them. It's scary when your car starts talking in lights and symbols you don't understand. But here's the truth most people don't know. In most cases, your car isn't broken at all. It's simply confused. You see, modern vehicles are no longer just mechanical machines. They're rolling computers. And just like your phone or laptop, they sometimes freeze, misread information, or locks themselves into a temporary error state. When that happens, a warning light appears. But that doesn't mean something is actually failing. It often means the system just needs a reset. And that's where this secret comes in. There's a simple trick, completely free, takes less than a minute and doesn't require a single tool that can often make those warning lights vanish and save you hundreds, even thousands of dollars. It's a 60-second reset that 96% of drivers don't even know exists. I've seen it with my own eyes, over and over again. People spend small fortunes on unnecessary repairs when all their car needed was a simple reboot. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how it works, why it's safe, and how you can do it yourself, right in your driveway. Part 1. When the dashboard screams, you breathe. Let me paint you a picture. You're on the highway, halfway home from work, and suddenly a yellow light blinks on. Maybe it says, check engine. Maybe a red exclamation mark flashes beside it. Your stomach tightens because you've heard the stories. That light could mean anything. So you pull over, grab your phone, start searching, and every result makes things worse. Catalytic converter failure, transmission issue, oxygen sensor replacement. The numbers climb quickly, 500, 1,000, even $2,000. But here's the thing. Most of those warning lights are not emergencies. They're often triggered by small, harmless issues. Sometimes it's as simple as a loose gas cap, a weak battery, or a sensor that momentarily sent the wrong signal. I still remember one customer, a young woman with a brand new SUV, who came to me in tears. Half her dashboard was glowing. Another shop told her she'd need nearly $1,600 worth of sensor replacements. I asked her to give me 5 minutes. I popped the hood, disconnected the negative battery cable, waited exactly 60 seconds, then reconnected it. The lights disappeared instantly. The car ran perfectly. She stared at me, speechless. "That's it?" she asked. "That's it," I replied, and she drove away smiling instead of signing a massive repair bill. Moments like that taught me something valuable. Cars aren't always broken when they ask for help. They're just trying to get your attention. And just like people, sometimes they need a moment to reset, to clear their head, and start fresh. So when that dashboard lights up, don't panic. Don't rush to spend. Just pause, take a breath, and remember, you might be able to fix it yourself, right? There, in your own driveway. Part 2. Computers on wheels. Why harmless glitches look scary. Now let's talk about why. This happens in the first place. Decades ago, a car was purely mechanical, gears, cables, fluids, and steel. But today's vehicles are more like a network of small computers. Under the hood, behind the dashboard, even inside your doors, dozens of modules constantly communicate through a digital highway called the CAN bus system. One module monitors your engine, another controls your transmission, others manage traction, brakes, airbags, headlights, and even the power windows. They share thousands of signals every second to keep your ride smooth and safe. But here's the catch. If one message in that network gets distorted, even for a split second, it can confuse the entire system. Imagine your Wi-Fi glitching while you're streaming a movie. The picture freezes, the sound cuts out, and everything feels broken. But the solution is simple. You restart the router. That's exactly what happens inside your car. A weak battery, a sudden voltage drop, moisture near a connector, or even a rough bump in the road can cause a signal hiccup. The computers get confused, and the dashboard lights up with warnings that look terrifying, but mean very little. That's why you might see 3 or 4 lights appear at the same time. Check engine, traction control, and ABS. It's not because everything failed at once. It's because those systems share data. When one gets confused, the others throw alerts too. I once had a client with a 2018 Toyota Camry that looked doomed. Check engine light on, traction control flashing, ABS warning glowing. He was sure the car needed major work. Another shop had quoted him $1,800 for new sensors and system reprogramming. I smiled and told him to wait. I disconnected the negative battery terminal, waited 1 minute, reconnected it, and started the car. Every warning light vanished. The engine purred quietly, perfectly. He laughed in disbelief. And that's the moment most people realize just how digital their car really is. Modern vehicles don't just need oil changes. They sometimes need a reboot. So yes, this reset isn't magic, it's logic. It's the same principle that keeps your phone working after it freezes, or your computer running smoothly after a restart. The car's electronic brain simply needs to start fresh. And the best part, you can do it yourself, safely, confidently, and without any special tools. In fact, this tiny bit of knowledge can save you from unnecessary repairs for years to come. New SUV, who came to me in tears. Half her dashboard was glowing. Another shop told her she'd need nearly $1,600 worth of sensor replacements. I asked her to give me 5 minutes. I popped the hood, disconnected the negative battery cable, waited exactly 60 seconds, then reconnected it. The lights disappeared instantly. The car ran perfectly. She stared at me, speechless. "That's it?" she asked. "That's it," I replied, and she drove away smiling instead of signing a massive repair bill. Moments like that taught me something valuable. Cars aren't always broken when they ask for help. They're just trying to get your attention. And just like people, sometimes they need a moment to reset, to clear their head, and start fresh. So when that dashboard lights up, don't panic. Don't rush to spend. Just pause, take a breath, and remember, you might be able to fix it yourself, right? There, in your own driveway. Part 3. The 60-second reset. What it really does and doesn't, now that you understand. Why these strange warning lights appear, let's talk about what the 60-second reset actually does. When you perform it correctly, you are giving your car's electronic brain, the ECU and all, the smaller modules connected to it, a complete, clean restart. Think of it as clearing all the temporary confusion that built up while the system was running. Every modern car stores small bits of information: voltage readings, temperature spikes, short-term sensor values, and even your driving habits. Over time, a few of these numbers drift out of range. Maybe a sensor sends a strange signal because you drove through a puddle, or maybe the battery voltage dropped a little during cold weather. The ECU reacts by throwing a warning light. But once the problem passes, the memory of that false alarm stays inside the system. By disconnecting the power for 60 seconds, you wipe out those temporary codes and let the car start over with a clean slate. When you reconnect the battery, the computer reboots, runs self-tests, and sets all systems back to default conditions. And suddenly, all those warning lights that once looked terrifying simply disappear. But here's what's important. This reset can clear temporary issues. It doesn't repair real mechanical failures. If your engine is knocking, leaking, or if you hear grinding noises, this trick won't save you. It's designed for the invisible, electronic kind of trouble, the kind that clogs up modern cars with unnecessary alarms. So before you panic, before you open your wallet, always give your car the benefit of the doubt. Try the reset first. If the warning disappears, congratulations, you just solved a digital problem in under a minute. If it stays, you've at least filtered out the false codes, which means any mechanic you see next will be diagnosing the real problem, not chasing ghosts. Part 4. Preparation. Safety steps. You should never skip before you begin the reset. Take a moment to prepare properly. This part may seem simple, but trust me, doing it right makes all the difference. First, make sure your car is parked on a flat surface. The gear is in park, and the parking brake is engaged. Then, turn everything off completely. Not just the engine, but all lights, fans, and accessories. If you drive a push-button start car, hold the button until every single dashboard light goes dark. Many people skip this step, but it's critical. Leaving any system powered on while disconnecting the battery can cause unnecessary electrical stress. Next, pop the hood and locate your battery. In most vehicles, it's under the hood near the engine bay. But if you drive a European model like a BMW, Audi, or Mercedes, it might be in the trunk or under the rear seat. If you're unsure, check the owner's manual or simply search online for your car's layout. Once you find it, take a moment to notice the two terminals. The red one is positive, marked with a plus sign. The black one is negative, marked with a minus. For this procedure, you'll only be working with the negative terminal, the safer one. And here's why. If your wrench accidentally touches the car body while you're loosening the negative cable, nothing bad happens. But if you were to slip while touching the positive terminal, you could create a spark or even short-circuit the system. Before touching anything, remove all metal jewelry, rings, watches, or bracelets. I've seen too many small accidents caused by a ring bridging a battery connection. It takes one careless move to create a spark, so stay cautious. Then, grab the right tool. Usually, a 10mm wrench or socket fits most cars. Don't use pliers or adjustable wrenches. They tend to slip and can damage the terminal. It's worth taking a few extra seconds to use the proper tool. A steady, careful touch always beats a quick, clumsy one. Once you've loosened the nut, gently slide the black cable off the battery post. Move it slightly to the side so it doesn't spring back and accidentally touch the terminal again. You don't have to remove it completely, just enough to break contact. And once it's safely off, the countdown begins. Part 5. The minute that matters, and the pro's secret trick. Now comes the easiest. But, most important, part waiting. And this is where most people make their biggest mistake. They think a quick 10-second disconnect is enough. It isn't. Inside your car's computers are small components called capacitors. These are like little batteries that hold electrical energy for several seconds after the main power is removed. If you reconnect the battery too soon, those capacitors still have power, which means the EQ never truly shuts down. The old data remains, and the reset doesn't happen. That's why you must wait at least 60 seconds. Give it time to discharge completely. If you want to be extra thorough, 2 to 5 minutes is even better. During this waiting period, there's a small professional trick I've used for decades. While the battery is disconnected, press the brake pedal 5 or 6 times. Each press activates tiny circuits that help drain the remaining electricity faster. It's a simple move, but it guarantees a deep, complete reset. While you're waiting, take a moment to appreciate how simple this really is. You're performing a procedure that some repair shops charge $100 or more for, and you're doing it yourself with nothing but a wrench and a minute of patience. When your timer hits 60 seconds, it's time to bring your car back to life. Slide the negative cable back onto the terminal, tighten it firmly, but not with brute force. You want it snug, not crushed. Once it feels secure, step back, close the hood, and get inside the car. Now turn the key to the on position without starting the engine. Or if you have a push-button start, press the button once without touching the brake pedal. You'll see the dashboard lights glow for a few seconds. That's normal. The car is running its self-checks. Wait about 10 seconds, then start the engine. If everything was done correctly, you'll hear the engine come to life smoothly. Let it idle quietly for 2 or 3 minutes. Don't rev it. Don't drive off immediately. During this time, your car's computer is relearning all its normal parameters: air fuel, ratios, idle speed, throttle response, and sensor calibrations. It's re-establishing harmony. After that, take it for a short drive around the block. Smooth acceleration, gentle braking. As you move, your EQ will complete its full reboot cycle, adapting once again to real-world conditions. And that's it. You've just performed a professional-grade electronic reset in less than 5 minutes. Completely free, completely safe, and completely effective. Part 6. The secret minute that brings cars back to life. Now that you've reconnected the battery, it's time to understand why that short wait, just 60 seconds, can make all the difference. Most people rush this part, but this 1 minute is where the magic actually happens. You see, even after you disconnect the battery, your car's electronic system isn't instantly dead. Deep inside those little black boxes, capacitors are still holding on to energy. Think of them as tiny batteries that keep feeding the system even when the main power is gone. If you reconnect the cable too quickly, those capacitors won't have time to empty, and the car's brain will simply pick up right where it left off. Still confused, still stuck, still flashing those lights. But when you wait the full 60 seconds, or better yet, 2 or 3 minutes, you're allowing every trace of stored power to fade away. That's when the system truly shuts down and forgets its temporary memory. I often tell my customers that 1 minute can save you $1,500. And it's true. I've watched countless people spend money on unnecessary parts because no one ever taught them this simple trick. There's also a little pro secret that can make the process even cleaner. While you're waiting, step inside the car and press the brake pedal 5 or 6 times. This small movement helps drain any leftover charge from the electrical circuits. It's something I learned decades ago, and it's made every reset smoother and more reliable. By the time you're done, you've completely cleared the system, leaving your car's brain ready to start over, like a fresh boot up after a long crash. Part 7. Bringing it back to life when your 60 seconds are up, it's time for the moment of truth. Carefully reconnect the negative cable to the battery post. Tighten it snugly, just firm, enough to hold it steady and make sure it doesn't move. Then, climb into the driver's seat and turn the key to the on position without starting the engine. If your car has a start button, press it once without stepping on the brake. You'll notice the dashboard lighting up like a holiday display. Don't panic, this is normal. All systems are running their initial checks, like a plane powering up its instruments before takeoff. After about 10 seconds, take a deep breath and start the engine. Listen carefully. If you've done everything correctly, the car will come to life quietly and smoothly, like it's taking a deep breath after a long nap. Let it idle. Don't rev it yet. Just let it sit for 2 or 3 minutes. During this quiet moment, the car is working hard behind the scenes. The EQ is recalibrating, the sensors are finding their normal ranges, and the throttle is learning its idle position again. It's like the car is stretching its muscles after being asleep. Once the idle evens out, go ahead and shift into gear. Take a gentle drive around the block. Nothing fast, nothing aggressive. Try to vary your speed a little, accelerate smoothly, and brake gently. This short trip allows the car's computers to finish their full reboot cycle, learning how everything behaves in real-world driving. Sometimes a few dashboard lights might stay on for the first few minutes, but don't worry. They usually turn off as the systems finish recalibrating. By the time you pull back into your driveway, you'll often see something beautiful. A clean, quiet dashboard with no warning lights. That's when you'll realize you've just performed the same procedure that some repair shops charge $100 or more to do. And you did it yourself, with nothing but patience, understanding, and a single wrench. Part 8. The relearn drive and what it really means after that first short trip. It's time for what I call the relearn drive. This is when your car's brain starts gathering new information about how you drive. Every car is different, and every driver has their own style. Some people accelerate softly, Others brake harder. Some drive mostly in the city, others on the highway. The EQU remembers all of that, adjusting things like fuel trim, gear shifts, and throttle response to match you. When you perform a full reset, all of those memories are erased. It's like giving your car a fresh start, and it needs a few minutes of driving to remember who you are. During this relearn drive, keep things smooth. Try not to slam the brakes or floor the accelerator. Let the car relearn naturally by varying your speed, coasting, and stopping normally. Within 10 or 15 minutes, you'll feel it settling in. The gear shifts will become smoother, the idle more stable, and the throttle more responsive. It's during this period that many drivers notice something incredible. That old hesitation when accelerating. Gone. The strange, rough idle at stoplights disappeared. The car feels newer, lighter, more confident on the road. It's not your imagination. It's your ECU working properly again, free of old data that had been throwing it off balance. However, it's worth noting that some systems, especially emission controls, need a little more time to fully reset. If you live in a state that requires an emissions inspection, give your car a few days of normal driving before heading in. The system needs to complete several internal tests called readiness monitors. They only activate after you've driven under different conditions: city speeds, highway speeds, and a few idle periods. Once all of those are checked off, you're good to go. At this point, your car is officially back in sync. The engine, transmission, and sensors are talking clearly again, without the clutter of false codes. And the best part, you've just accomplished in a few minutes what many shops perform with a diagnostic computer. You've learned to think like a mechanic without paying mechanic prices. Part 9. What this reset often fixes instantly now that you've brought your car back to life. You might be wondering, what kinds of problems can this simple reset actually solve? The truth is, quite a lot. Over the years, I've watched this quick procedure clear away countless mysterious issues that left drivers scratching their heads. Sometimes it's the stubborn check engine light that flickers on and off for no clear reason. In many cases, it's not a broken part at all, but a sensor reading that went slightly out of range for a moment. Once you reset the ECU, it forgets that false reading and gives the system a fair second chance to reevaluate. Other times, it's transmission behavior. You might notice your car shifting a little harshly, or perhaps hesitating before changing gears. Modern transmissions use what's called adaptive learning, meaning they memorize your driving style and adjust over time. But when those adjustments drift too far from normal, often after a weak battery or an abrupt power interruption, the transmission begins acting confused. The reset wipes the distorted memory clean, allowing the system to relearn smooth, natural shifting again. You may also see traction control or stability control warnings vanish after a reset. These systems rely on multiple sensors: wheel speed, steering angle, yaw rate, all constantly talking to each other. When just one sends a strange signal, the others panic and assume a fault. Once you perform the reset, the communication resets too, and suddenly the warning lights fade away as everything syncs back up. Even comfort features like air conditioning, touchscreens, or keyless entry systems can spring back to life. I've seen people ready to replace expensive infotainment units or air conditioning modules, only to discover they were simply frozen like a smartphone app. A simple reset clears the software glitch and restores full functionalities. And if you've ever had a tire pressure light that refuses to turn off, even when every tire is perfectly inflated, you'll love this. A reset clears the old sensor data, letting your car read the new, correct pressures. Within minutes, that annoying light is gone, replaced by peace of mind. Each of these cases has something in common. The issue wasn't mechanical, it was electronic confusion. And when you know how to clear that confusion yourself, you save time, stress, and money. Every single time it happens, by varying your speed, coasting and stopping normally. Within 10 or 15 minutes, you'll feel it settling in. The gear shifts will become smoother, the idle more stable, and the throttle more responsive. It's during this period that many drivers notice something incredible. That old hesitation when accelerating. Gone. The strange, rough idle at stoplights disappeared. The car feels newer, lighter, more confident on the road. It's not your imagination. It's your ECU working properly again, free of old data that had been throwing it off balance. However, it's worth noting that some systems, especially emission controls, need a little more time to fully reset. If you live in a state that requires an emissions inspection, give your car a few days of normal driving before heading in. The system needs to complete several internal tests called readiness monitors. They only activate after you've driven under different conditions: city speeds, highway speeds, and a few idle periods. Once all of those are checked off, you're good to go. At this point, your car is officially back in sync. The engine, transmission, and sensors are talking clearly again, without the clutter of false codes. And the best part, you've just accomplished in a few minutes what many shops perform with a diagnostic computer. You've learned to think like a mechanic without paying mechanic prices. Part 10. When you should not do this reset. But before you start disconnecting batteries, for every problem, let me share something equally important. There are times when you absolutely should not perform this reset. Knowing when not to use it is just as valuable as knowing how. If your check engine light is flashing, stop driving immediately. A flashing light usually means there's an active misfire in your engine, and continuing to drive could damage the catalytic converter, one of the most expensive parts in your car. No reset will fix that. In that situation, you need a proper diagnosis from a qualified mechanic. Likewise, if you see red warning lights for brakes, oil pressure, or engine temperature, pull over and shut the car off. These are serious warnings that indicate a potential safety issue. Resetting the system won't solve a mechanical failure, and in fact, it might make it harder for a mechanic to track the problem later. You should also skip the reset if your car is making strange noises, shaking violently, or leaking fluids. Those are signs of real physical problems that need attention. I've met drivers who tried to reset their way through a bad alternator or a cracked hose, only to end up stranded on the side of the road. Remember, this reset is meant for electronic confusion, not mechanical failure. And here's something many people forget. If your car has been in an accident, even a minor fender bender, don't use this trick to clear warning lights. Some of those alerts, especially related to airbags or seatbelt sensors, are vital for your safety. They need to be checked professionally before you reset anything. In short, if your car feels or sounds dangerous, if it's losing power, overheating, or behaving erratically, don't touch the battery. Turn it off, call for help, and let a professional take a look. But if everything feels normal and the only thing wrong is a confusing light on the dashboard, that's when this method becomes your best friend. Part 11. The soft reset options. Before you grab a wrench now. Maybe you're listening and thinking, that's great, but I'm not comfortable working under the hood. Don't worry. There are gentler ways to perform what I like to call a soft reset before you reach for a wrench. One easy method involves your infotainment system. Many modern cars allow you to restart it by holding down the power or volume button for about 10 to 15 seconds. This clears frozen screens or unresponsive touch panels without touching the battery at all. It's quick, safe, and often enough to solve minor glitches in radios or navigation units. If you're dealing with a single malfunctioning system, say your radio, climate control, or even your ECU, you can also pull the corresponding fuse instead of disconnecting the entire battery. It's a smaller, targeted version of the reset. Just make sure to consult your owner's manual or look up the fuse diagram online so you pull the correct one. Remove it for a minute or two, then plug it back in. Many technicians, including myself, use this trick to avoid erasing all vehicle settings, while still clearing a specific fault. And then there's the best modern tool any driver can own: a simple Obdu code reader. You can buy one online for $20 or $30, plug it into the port under your dashboard, and instantly see what the warning light actually means. Sometimes you'll find it's something minor, like a loose gas cap or a temporary sensor glitch that you can safely clear right from the device. Other times, the code might point to a real issue, letting you decide whether to try the reset or head to a professional. These soft methods give you flexibility and confidence. You don't have to be a mechanic to use them, just a car owner who wants to understand their vehicle a little better. And once you see how easily these systems can be managed, you'll never feel powerless again when that orange light suddenly appears. Part 12. What happens after the reset? Once you've finished the reset, it's completely normal for your car to behave a little differently for the first few miles. Don't panic if things feel slightly off. This is your car's brain, relearning everything from scratch. You might notice that the idle feels a bit rough at first, or that the engine sounds slightly different. That's because the EQU, the heart of your car's computer system, has just forgotten all of its learned habits. It no longer remembers how you accelerate, how you brake, or what your usual driving rhythm feels like. In the next few minutes, it will quietly start rebuilding those memories. At first, the transmission might shift at unusual points or feel hesitant. The throttle response might seem softer or sharper than usual. Even the fuel consumption may temporarily fluctuate. Don't worry. This is all part of the relearning process. After 10 to 20 minutes of smooth, consistent driving, everything will begin to feel familiar again. Your car is simply adapting to you all over, as if you've just driven it off the dealership lot. I often tell my customers, treat it gently for the first 30 minutes, and it will treat you better for the next 30,000 miles. It's also worth noting that your clock, radio presets, and seat memory settings might have reset to factory defaults. Take a few moments to set them again once the car feels stable. If you drive a vehicle with automatic windows or sunroofs, remember to reinitialize the One Touch feature by holding the switch up for 5 seconds, then down for another 5 seconds. Small details like these help your system sync perfectly after a reset. In some cases, the start-stop feature might remain inactive for a short while. Don't worry. It just needs time to confirm that the battery is fully charged and the engine temperature is ideal. The car is simply ensuring that everything is safe before returning to normal operation. So if your dashboard seems a little busier than usual, or your car feels slightly different after the reset, don't rush to conclusions. Be patient. What you're witnessing is your car's digital brain rebuilding its confidence. Part 13. What to expect during the relearn drive once your car is settled into idle. It's time to hit the road for what professionals call the relearn drive. This short drive allows your vehicle to gather fresh data and calibrate itself for your unique driving habits. Start by driving smoothly through your neighborhood or a quiet street. Accelerate gently and avoid flooring the gas pedal. Gradual acceleration gives the computer a chance to relearn fuel delivery and airflow in real time. When you reach a steady speed, try to maintain it for a few minutes. This helps the ECU stabilize long-term fuel trim values. Afterward, allow for a few gentle braking moments. Don't slam on the brakes or brake suddenly. Each smooth deceleration helps the transmission and stability systems reset their adaptive points. If you can, drive a short stretch on a main road or highway at a consistent speed for 5 minutes. This combination of city and highway driving gives your car's systems a complete set of data to rebuild normal operating behavior. As the car adjusts, you'll start to feel subtle improvements. The gear changes will smooth out. The idle will become steady, and even the throttle will feel more natural again. It's almost like your car is remembering who you are, your patterns, your rhythm, your touch on the pedal. I've seen this countless times in my workshop. One customer told me, "It feels like my car just woke up refreshed." That's exactly what's happening. The old data that once confused the system has been cleared away, and now your car is responding to real, accurate input. During this relearn phase, it's also important to understand one more thing. If you live in a place where emissions testing is required, don't go for an inspection right after the reset. The system needs to complete several readiness monitors, which are internal checks for components like the oxygen sensors and catalytic converter. These usually activate automatically after a few normal trips that include idling, steady cruising, and mild acceleration. Once all monitors are complete, the car will report itself as ready, and you'll pass your inspection with flying colors. The relearn drive is the final handshake between you and your car's electronic brain. When done patiently and correctly, it sets the stage for months, sometimes even years, of trouble-free driving. Part 14. Preventing future glitches and warning lights now that you know how to perform. A reset and guide your car through its recovery. Let's talk about how to prevent these problems from happening again. The truth is, most electronic errors can be avoided with just a few simple habits. First, always take care of your battery. It's the lifeblood of your vehicle's entire electronic system. A weak or aging battery doesn't just make it harder to start the engine. It can also send unstable voltage through your car's computers, confusing them and triggering random warning lights. Replace your battery every 3 to 5 years, depending on your climate, and make sure the terminals stay clean and free of corrosion. Second, keep your car's electrical connections dry and protected. Moisture, dirt, and corrosion can cause false signals between sensors. A quick engine bay cleaning once or twice a year can prevent these problems. Use a damp cloth instead of high-pressure water, and make sure everything is dry before you close the hood. Third, use high-quality fuel and perform regular maintenance. Cheap or contaminated gas can cause oxygen sensors to give bad readings, which often triggers the check engine light. Regular oil and air filter changes help keep your engine breathing smoothly and ensure your sensors read accurately. Fourth, avoid ignoring warning lights for too long. Many drivers see a small light and think, it's probably nothing, but leaving even minor electronic faults unaddressed allows the ECU to adapt to incorrect data, which can lead to bigger, more expensive issues down the road. A quick check with an OBD reader or a 60-second reset if you suspect it's just a glitch can save you a lot of stress later. And finally, always drive gently right after a reset. Let your car rebuild its confidence gradually. Imagine it as a student starting fresh on the first day of school. It needs a bit of patience and guidance before it starts performing perfectly again. When you treat your car this way, it rewards you with reliability, smoothness, and peace of mind. Over the years, I've seen cars with hundreds of thousands of miles that still drive like new simply because their owners understood these small but powerful principles. Preventing problems is always easier and far cheaper than fixing them. Part 15. The professional mindset and how to deal with repair shops. Now that you've learned how to reset your car's brain and keep it running smoothly, let's talk about something equally important: how to handle repair shops like a pro. Because knowledge doesn't just save you money under the hood, it also protects you from being taken advantage of at the counter. I've spent more than 2 decades in the automotive world, and I can tell you this: not every mechanic who charges you hundreds of dollars is dishonest. Most are hard-working people trying to keep cars safe on the road. But sometimes, especially in large shops or dealerships, the system rewards replacement instead of reasoning. It's faster to swap a part than to explain a small fix. And unfortunately, that often means the customer ends up paying for something their car didn't really need. That's why your attitude and the way you communicate matter. When you walk into a shop, don't just say, "I have a warning light. Please fix it." Instead say, "I noticed the light came on after a battery change or after heavy rain. Could you check the codes and let me know what they mean before doing any work?" You'll sound calm, confident, and informed. That single sentence changes everything. It tells the mechanic you understand how modern cars work and that you expect transparency. If the shop gives you a long list of parts that need replacement, don't feel pressured to decide on the spot. A simple, "I'll think about it and get back to you," is perfectly fine. In fact, getting a second opinion is not just smart, it's your right. Any honest professional will respect that. If they get defensive or try to rush you, that's a red flag. Over the years, I've had customers bring me quotes from other shops, sometimes totaling over $1,000, only to find that all they needed was a system reset or a loose connection fixed. They were shocked. But I wasn't. The automotive industry has changed. Cars are becoming more digital, and many drivers still don't realize how much a simple electronic miscommunication can cost them if they're not careful. That's why knowledge is your most powerful tool. When you understand your car's behavior, you make better decisions. You stop guessing, you stop fearing, and you start saving. Not just money, but also time and peace of mind. So, remember this. Before you spend, always test. Before you replace, always reset. And before you agree to expensive work, always ask questions. At the end of the day, owning a car isn't just about driving from one place to another. It's about understanding the machine that moves you. Cars today are more advanced than ever, filled with sensors, computers, and electronics that make driving safer and more comfortable. But that complexity can also make simple things seem terrifying. One tiny light on the dashboard can send people into a panic. Now you know better. You know that not every light is a disaster. Not every warning means danger. And that, sometimes, all your car really needs is 60 seconds of silence to clear its head. That's the beauty of this simple trick. It's free, it's fast, and it empowers you to take control of your own vehicle. Think about it. Just a few minutes of knowledge can save you hundreds, even thousands of dollars in unnecessary repairs. It can turn a stressful situation into a calm, confident one. And most importantly, it gives you the kind of independence that every driver deserves. So the next time your dashboard lights up, don't panic. Don't rush to the shop just yet. Instead, take a deep breath. Remember what you've learned here, and try the reset. Disconnect the negative terminal. Wait a full minute. Reconnect, and give your car a chance to start fresh. Then listen, observe, and feel how it responds. If the light disappears, congratulations, you've just outsmarted a repair bill. If it stays, no problem. You've still done something valuable. You've cleared away the noise and given your mechanic a clean starting point for diagnosis. Either way, you've taken charge. And that's what Mechanical Wonders is all about. Helping you become the kind of driver who doesn't just react, but understands. The kind who doesn't just spend money on repairs, but invest time in learning. The kind who drives with confidence, knowing that knowledge is always the strongest tool in the glove box. So take care of your car, and it will take care of you. Keep learning, keep driving smart, and remember, every machine, no matter how advanced, still listens to the person behind the wheel. Thank you for watching Mechanical Wonders. If this video helped you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real-world car wisdom. And the next time someone panics about their dashboard lighting up, share this secret with them. Because when you know how your car thinks, you're already one step ahead of every problem it can throw your way.